11 hours in the case of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged in the death of George Floyd. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, the attorney for Derek Chauvin, said his use of force was appropriate, and jurors found that Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes was not.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
Second-degree murder carries a 40-year prison term. Third-degree murder carries a 25-year term, and manslaughter carries 10. The judge polled each juror, affirming their decisions.
I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy-duty jury service.
Ahead of sentencing, which is set for 8 weeks from now, the judge will consider whether aggravating factors should enhance sentencing. Lisa.
Jessica, many major cities around the country, including New York City, Boston, and Portland, Oregon, bracing for possible protests tonight in the wake of the verdict, with Portland's mayor declaring a state of emergency. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, in a statement, said the trial is over, but our work has only begun. The family of George Floyd is expected to make a statement shortly. Police on New York's Long Island say they've arrested a man they say shot 3 workers inside a manager's office at a grocery store, killing one of them. This woman pulled up to the store just after it happened.
There was one woman who rushed past me, and then a man said to me, don't go in, there's an active shooter. Get back in your car.
Gabriel Wilson was taken into custody shortly after the incident. Authorities say that he was a store employee. On Wall Street, stocks closed mostly lower, led by drops in tech companies and banks. The Dow minus 256 points, the Nasdaq lost 128, the S&P off 28 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you running a business? Then why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office 24/7. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
A new poll suggests you may know someone who jumped the COVID vaccine line.
In a new Axios Ipsos poll, 31% of people knew someone who falsely claimed to have an underlying health condition or other criteria just so they could get inoculated. 68% said they didn't know anyone who skipped the line. Skipping the line is not that much a factor now because the vaccine is available to all U.S. adults. A growing vaccine supply and a Biden administration directive made that possible. But vaccine supply was a concern early on, hence the previous priority levels. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Months after he said COVID-19 was not a real pandemic, rocker Ted Nugent has revealed that he was in agony after getting the virus. In a Facebook video, he said he thought he was dying and could hardly crawl out of bed. He said he tested positive yesterday. Nugent has called the pandemic a scam and has railed against public health restrictions. There are signs of progress in getting the cruise industry restarted in the U.S.
Royal Caribbean's chairman Richard Fain says he's in constructive dialogue with the CDC and is optimistic cruises will restart in the U.S. possibly as early as mid-July. Fain says more than 30 countries have granted permission for cruising. Travel advisors and small businesses in the U.S. have demonstrated there's a strong desire for cruises to operate under safe guidelines. Fain says the CDC is engaging in a constructive dialogue with the industry to enable a return to service in a safe and healthy manner.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Are you a report from the National Center for Education shows that an alarming 10% of U.S. high school students graduate without basic object permanence skills. According to the study, a growing number of American seniors are lagging behind their international counterparts when it comes to the crucial knowledge that things don't just disappear if you're not looking at them.
Because it exists even if your eyes can't see it. Am I making sense?
No. U.S. high schoolers have dropped to 17th in science, 25th in math, and a troubling 180th place in the basic cognitive awareness most humans develop as toddlers. Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan is asking Congress to fund increased after-school disguise and reveal programs.
It's time to get the kids excited to learn the most obvious mental concepts that make us capable of functioning.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do better. It's just I don't know how I'm supposed to learn anything if I don't even have a teacher.
I'm still here, Vanessa.
Some educators worry that too much focus placed on object permanence might take away from other important skills, such as not touching hot things that could burn you.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
A 1, 2, 3, a 4, a 1, 2, and a 0. What do these mysterious numbers mean? Does anybody know?
Say the numbers again. 1, 2, 3,
4.
I don't know.
And then a 1 and a 2.
No.
And then a 0. So essentially a 4, a 2, and a 0.
Oh, is that today?
Like, wow, man. Is it? Oh, it is. It's totally April
forgot.
20th. My computer says it's 4/20/2021.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Oh, you don't say.
Wait, I just saw you at the park, right? Down in the common there? The square? King Square?
What, like just after 4?
I think so.
Maybe like 4:20 or so?
Oh, that's right.
Where there was like a thing.
And I gave a speech.
And people were there. There was like a microphone with a amplified speaker and like a bunch of people showed up.
Yes, I believe so. Oh, yeah, I spoke.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Both of you guys spoke.
Yeah, you spoke
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
I didn't speak. I remained silent.
No, you're of a strong and silent type, Captain. People respect that.
I didn't speak, but I did inhale.
I may have partaked in some sacrament.
In case you listeners are wondering what the heck you're listening to, it is the Tuesday night edition of Free Talk Live. And I am your host tonight, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Joa.
And Vincent.
And happy to have both of you guys here doing the show tonight, particularly on this day. We did have a thing in the Keene Circle, which is officially known as the Keene Square.
Central Square.
Despite the fact that it is circular in shape.
And we had to continue the tradition.
Leave it to the government to name something incorrectly.
Well, it's like public square, a perception. But
it's in the town square, but the town square is a circle.
Oh, and it's where important things happen, like today's rally. And it's there's been 420 rallies, I believe, or some sort, at least get-togethers for like in Concord and in Keene for the past decade, right?
Yeah.
It was something, and the 420 movement, at least from what I saw and what I heard people talk about at the 420 rally in Concord, the year of decrim, was that the movement was going to and eventually did sort of run out of steam because a lot of people were just happy with the way things are with decrim. But Ian and Nobody, right? They never settled for that, right?
Yeah, they didn't relent.
They never gave up on. They never gave up on 420.
It was only partially decrim. It wasn't fully.
Well, yeah,
decrim.
so it depends on which definition of decrim you use. If you use the everyman definition, where if you say decriminalize, that basically just means it's no longer criminal to do anything with this thing, right? But if you use like a city or a county or a state definition of decriminalization, it's a whole different ball of wax, because what they mean is, well, it's still a crime, but it's going to be the lowest priority of all of the things that we prosecute. So you can still get written a ticket for it. You can still get a fine for it.
They still want their money.
You still want their money. You could likely even get like a warrant if you like don't respond to the ticket or something like that. But it's going to take a really long time. Not like it doesn't already for government, but they're just putting it at the way, way bottom of the list. And I don't like that definition at all, because to me, that does not meet the definition of decriminalization.
Well, the Keene PD didn't really care much about it today. I saw them
Yeah, they certainly did.
drive
It
by
did
a little
smell.
bit later on in it, and he didn't really pay attention. But yeah.
I mean, there's been more debauchery done at nightcaps, right? It did smell pretty strong there. Like I smelled it from across the street. So I guess you guys certainly made your presence known.
Well, that's good. Anybody with
But it wasn't purely a 420 cannabis related rally. Also, it was for awareness for the Crypto 6, awareness for Ian and Nobody who are currently in jail. But they I mean, like Ian was happy to know that people were still getting together as a community and stuff. So this was something for them to raise awareness. We had signs, we had chalk.
There were a couple of signs. People chalked up some sidewalk. Joel, you did a thing on the sidewalk. I got a nice photo of that.
Just the plant.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's all it is. For those of you out there who are, maybe thinking, well, what are these guys talking about? Marijuana? Yeah, we're talking about marijuana.
Cannabis. I like cannabis
particularly. This is a plant with which, even if you extract the thing that makes people get high, if you extract that from the plant, it still heals. It still has many, many uses, including textiles and rope and, all sorts of fun things that can be made out of it and with it. It can be made into clothing. I mean, there's so many different uses for this particular plant that, even if you take out the part where people like to smoke it because it makes them feel good and relaxed. If you take that part out, the plant is still one of the most amazing plants on the planet.
Oh, yeah, and CBD is legal in quite a bit of states.
Everywhere, yeah.
Oh, everywhere?
Well, I mean, it seems like it anyway. I don't know how many states.
You could get it online easily.
Very easily.
So like half a plant is legal anyways.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it grows everywhere. So it's, it's hard for them to really stop it. And I was actually talking to someone there about other things that you can just easily find that we consider weeds that you probably easily walked by today.
Such as?
Wild lettuce.
I was going to bring up lettuce. Actually, for a couple of different reasons. One, just as an analogy, can you imagine if something as innocuous as a head of lettuce were illegal for you to grow and or consume in whatever way you saw fit?
And it's not like someone just plants it there. It is literally growing wild everywhere.
But I also had another reason for mentioning the word lettuce, because if you like funk music, groovy funk music with no lyrics, just a band doing funk and groove, check out the band Lettuce. They are my favorite 420 band currently, and possibly even of all time. That's high praise coming from the captain. And I'm a heavy metal guy, so you know that these guys are super groovy and super funky if you find me blipping and bopping my head to these guys. So Lettuce.
I want to see the head of the DEA and all these presidents, including Biden, who even though the Democrats control the judiciary, they control the Senate, they control the House of Representatives, they control the White House, they still have a hard time getting marijuana legalization passed. And even if it's able to pass the legislature, Joe Biden most likely will veto it, or any sort of attempt to reschedule it. So I want to see Joe Biden and the head of the DEA and all these people tell God that he should go to jail for growing marijuana, because God's, it grows naturally, right? So God is the number one grower of marijuana in the planet.
Look, the reason why it's not going to go federally, and the reason why it takes so long for states to do it, because they're not realizing the mechanism or the ability to control it in their state. That's why it's not happening federally, because they don't know how to control it. It literally grows everywhere, guys.
I don't know if they'd be able to arrest God, quote unquote, right? But I'm thinking maybe nature, right? Maybe they could arrest nature.
Agent Orange, yeah. The government made a device that genocides nature. Agent Orange, it destroys foliage.
That's true, it does. And then what about
maybe they're trying to summon Satan. That's probably close to
Satan?
Satan.
Well, that's why we're always attacking the Middle East. Yeah. Try to get Gog and Magog at war and fulfill some prophecy.
I don't watch hockey at all, but I know that there's a hockey player named Satan, Satan. I know this because a place that I worked at, a guy would show up, during hockey, whenever people wear their sports ball shirts or whatever to support their team, he would show up wearing his Satan hockey jersey. Even though it's Satan, right? At work, because of the dichotomy there. So.
There's a type of artificial meat. I don't know what it's made out of. That's literally called
slime.
Satan. It's like SEITAN. T-A-N.
Oh,
They
yeah.
served it at the college. It's literally pronounced Satan.
Ugh. Yes, on a bun, on a stick.
Well, they made it into ribs, and I mean, if I was very intoxicated, it probably would have tasted passable, but I was not at the time, and it was not. It was actually disgusting. Wow. In my opinion.
I mean, I guess if it was 420, you might wolf it down.
No, that would make me even more sick.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. Purge it. The good nature purges the evil artificial.
I find that
gum.
when I get the munchies on the 420, that like even the crappiest food tastes amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. I really wish Ian and Nobody were there. Nobody has been doing this since 2009. So this was his baby to take care of.
I think they can hear us. I think they're listening right now. And if you are, you guys are definitely missed. 603-283-6160. Something about a decision in Chauvin coming up.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
When you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the talk radio program that's nationally syndicated on some web streams, a whole bunch of them, and even a couple of satellite places where you can call in and talk about whatever you want. Now, I'm pretty sure there aren't a whole lot of programs on planet Earth that make that claim, much less deliver. So if you want to join the conversation, the telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Tonight, I am your host. I am the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Joa.
And Vincent.
We've been talking about, well, what day it is, man. Because, well, it's April 20th, and some people know that as 420. What is 420? What's the meaning behind 420? Well, if you go to the magic rectangle in your pocket and ask that very question, you'll find out very quickly that 420 is cannabis culture slang for marijuana and hashish consumption, especially smoking around the time 4:20 p.m., and also refers to cannabis-oriented celebrations that take place annually on April 20th, which is 420 in the U.S. form of the date.
That sounds like a very Google answer.
It's exactly what it is. I was just trying not to mention the source for which the answer came because, well, I don't like that particular company.
I don't either.
Well, you know of a story behind why, like, the number's 420? From what I've heard, I think it was on like
so Wikipedia. I mean, there's a bunch of like urban legends, like, oh, it was the police code.
Oh no,
for marijuana, like 390 is drunk and disorderly, and 420 was marijuana.
No, I think what I saw was that whichever group that popularized it, it was their classes, or they were all free after 4, and they would go to the woods to consume cannabis. And it would take them 20 minutes to walk to the woods, so they would all end up usually, smoking cannabis at 4:20.
Of course,
I would say there's very probably many coincidences on that, and everyone's like, "I started 4:20," but I would say, generally it's
apocryphal.
Maybe it's planting season,
duck season, planting season, duck season. So I get my Elmo Fudd on. No, nothing for fun.
No, I'm sorry.
Hydroponic season.
Oh, no.
There you go. Now you're talking. All right. We teased this at the end of the last segment. It is probably the biggest news in the nation at this particular moment. This from Time.com. Derek Chauvin is found guilty of murdering George Floyd in a milestone for America's reckoning on race.
Well, it's a very, I'm sorry to interrupt, but very unbiased way of, very, very impartial way of reporting on it.
It's a big sentence with a lot of words, but the basis of it is Derek Chauvin found guilty.
That's such a fresh breath of air. And I say that because it's really hard to get cops convicted of
super difficult,
very hard. And there's many that have deserved it and that didn't.
Well, I don't know if in this case he should be convicted of murder, like as in, it's for the murder of George Floyd. I watched a lot of his streams of the court proceedings, and, they played like, the body cam footage and, people's footage. And
the knee on the neck and all that?
Yeah, but also they George Floyd, he ate a lot of drugs, right? I mean, and, his drug dealer pled the fifth, so we didn't hear from him. And when, it's like the toxicology report of George Floyd, it showed that he had like a lot of fentanyl, a lot of meth in his system.
Okay,
and, sounds
just
like
to play the other side of that is that maybe the cops should have known that these things were in the system. I'm just saying they didn't assess the situation properly. Someone that was only hurting himself and it used a fake 20 ends up dying. Like this is what it needs to come down to. Like, are we just going to let them, kneel on our necks just because, and then they're going to look into our personal past to determine if it's justified or not. I don't think so. No, everyone deserves to live, even those that are abusing that or whatever.
Human rights don't end because somebody has a questionable past or certain things rolling through their system that other people might not. I mean, I think the average American right now probably has 5 to 7 different drugs coursing through their veins at any given time.
But this is they're trying the man for trying the guy for murder. I mean, for something like following orders is no excuse, or enforcing the law is no excuse. But I mean, something more akin like to manslaughter, or maybe something. But I mean, just straight up murder for like George Floyd. He didn't force George Floyd.
What
to
I heard
eat
is
the bag
he's
of drugs.
charged with 3 counts, and he was guilty on all 3. One was murder, one was also murder, and the other one was manslaughter.
So I mean, like double murder charges. I mean, that's where I think that it's weird. It's to please a crowd, right? And there's a lot of, which actually we have in prep for later. There's a lot of there's a lot of debate on how much the riots and looting and just the destruction of Minneapolis and many other cities in the United States had to do with affecting the jury's decision, even though they were ordered by the judge not to watch the news.
Well, and
getting threatened too. They were doxxed by I forget which outlet it did, but they have profiles. They have profiles of the jurors.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you earlier, and I don't know. Did you alluded to there would be riots? I think.
I wondered.
I think if this decision went the other way, there would be riots right now.
Oh yeah.
We would be talking about the riots going on in Minneapolis right now instead of the fact that this guy was convicted of murdering George Floyd. An outpouring of emotion, says Time.com, and cheers erupted outside the tightly fortified Minneapolis courthouse. Tightly fortified Minneapolis courthouse, mind you. So they were doing prep.
They've been doing prep for a couple of years now.
Where the jury found Chauvin guilty on second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. So it was murder, and man's laughter, as I like to say, because I imagine the apostrophe in there every time I read the word. Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, was handcuffed May 25th, 2020, while Chauvin, who is white, pinned him to the ground by his knee for more than 9 minutes. Floyd verbalized that he couldn't breathe more than 24 times as he writhed face down in agony, according to the prosecutors and footage of the incident, which touched off a nationwide reckoning on race and the largest sustained mobilization against racial injustice in recent memory.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there isn't more unity around the country, and people are like, yeah, this is what we want to hear. We want to hear that the people that are supposedly enforcing the law are actually, they're breaking the law, obviously, and now they're actually being held by their own system. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, being accountability is huge. Now, this is, one out of thousands of times in my mind, at least since I've been doing listening to Free Talk Live, where, it goes the other way, right? The police generally investigate themselves, find they did nothing wrong, and then let the guy off, or he gets to, sort of be let go from whatever city he worked in and go get another job as a cop in another city.
But now they're going to be rolling out the troops, right? Is that what they've already done? At 6 o'clock, they started rolling out troops, 3,000 troops out there. Why?
Heavily fortified Minneapolis. We can talk more about that. 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Wagner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Free Talk Live.
Well, I'm a working police officer. I'm actually on duty in a small town in Central Texas. I've been doing this job 10 years. 99% of what you guys talk about is dead on. We got guys getting into this profession just to wear a badge and play God. It's getting worse and worse. There used to be a couple of decent guys that I worked with. Both of them have quit.
Why did they quit?
It's because of the BS. We can't help the people that actually need help, which is what you get into this job to do if you're a good person.
It's interesting that whenever honest cops call in like you, we get the same story, that the corruption rises through the ranks, that the good guys, the guys like you that got in to make a difference and actually help people and catch the real bad guys, the guys like you end up getting frustrated by the system, frustrated by the corruption and the bureaucracy, and they end up quitting, which of course means that more bad guys can move in and move up through the ranks. Is anything inaccurate about that?
No, sir. That's my point entirely.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen. Listen to the nationally syndicated talk radio program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number in the studio, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain,
Joa,
and Vincent.
We've been talking about, well, the either chauvinists or not chauvinists, I guess, right? So either you're happy that Chauvin is found guilty, and that makes you a chauvinist,
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm just making crap up now. I'm attempting to be funny. It's not going very well.
At least they're having dance parties and they're not rioting right now. Okay,
Dance party? Is it like Ferris Bueller's Day Off with like a parade and a float and all that?
But we're still blocking the street or for the road, rather, not just the street. Still blocking
the
road.
roads.
So people who have to go to work, people who have to go home, they have to wait.
And it's like what, a 2-hour difference between here and there. So
But-
it's 7:30, 6:30,
It's rush
5:30.
hour.
Yeah,
but
it's
dancing,
rush hour right
guys,
now.
dancing is illegal though. In bars or no, they pulled the mandate.
certainly
they
was.
pulled the
Yes, that's
mandate
true.
For not social distancing, you're right. This is a terrible. Send a riot squad right now. Separate them. Separate these people.
They are not socially distancing. During the break, Vincent, you had asked about, does this article from Time mention sentencing? And so I did a search, and yep, it sure does. Here's what it says. Chauvin, 45, appeared concerned behind his mask, his eyes darting side to side as the verdict was read. Like that's relevant to anything. Second-degree murder, the most serious charge, carries up to 40 years in prison. Chauvin was remanded and let out of the courtroom in handcuffs. He's due to be sentenced in 2 months.
So they convict this guy of double murder, and he's facing less time in prison than Ian.
for some innocuous Bitcoin transactions.
So I think all the listeners out there should try to spread the crypto6.com because of more ridiculousness like this, you can, murder somebody and probably have less jail time for being peaceful.
Yeah, than, peacefully interacting with other human beings. Meanwhile, a large crowd that gathered outside the courtroom broke out in chants. "If we fight, we can win," they repeated. While marching, Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney Ross, told reporters that Tuesday's verdict means there will be progress for police reform. "Change is coming," she said, adding that she had felt confident the jury would find Chauvin guilty. I'm not sure how she can predict that change is coming. I mean, I predict change is coming too, just not in the same way she predicts it. When the verdict was announced, Floyd's family and supporters were overcome with emotion and held each other with tears in their eyes. The Reverend Al why is Al okay? The Reverend Al Sharpton said at a news conference, does this guy ever get any press outside of showing up at like one of these things that has really nothing to do with him at all?
Professional race baiting, and he was an FBI informant too. He was a snitch. He's a career snitch.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
This is just for political clout.
Well, he said, "There's sunlight," Sharpton said before leading a prayer. "We're going to keep going." Okay. They're going to keep going, I guess.
He's going to keep grifting, keep fundraising off of dead people.
Wait, is he saying that cops going to continue murdering?
I mean, he does say we're going to keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch more here about, the witnesses they called, and, it goes into great detail about the trial itself, which this thing is all over the news. I'm very, very reluctant to cover any of these details. Yes, it is the biggest news probably in the country right now, but I mean, do we need to cover it here on Free Talk Live in great detail? Methinks not.
Well, I think it's curious that the media, out of all the people who get arrested for victimless crimes and get killed for it, this one case, which in most cases would just be local news or state news, become like this massive nationwide thing where you're seeing holograms and stuff. This thing is being pushed very hard.
Oh, it certainly is. They do say a little more about medical experts called by prosecutors testified that Floyd died of low oxygen levels from being restrained by police and not directly from heart conditions or drug use, which the defense argued was the case.
It's funny seeing Chauvin sitting in court with the mask on, and I wonder if he's going to have to wear a mask the rest of his life because
up to his execution.
I hope they double mask him, actually.
Many have described the Chauvin trial as a critical moment and an inflection point in American history. During the first day of testimony, Crump said the landmark case would be a, quote, referendum on how far America has come on its quest for equality and justice for all. If America were on a quest for equality and justice for all, it would immediately disband.
Well, that sounds nice. We would have peace.
Because then you would have equality and justice for all.
Are you saying if if the people who create laws disappears, we won't have any crime. Like the ones that create laws for criminal acts, if those didn't exist, we don't have any more crime.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's how it works, right? So every time they pass a law, they're doing it because no one, the free market doesn't want to do it, so they have to punish us.
What I'm saying is that crimes will still exist, but what you would be doing is eliminating the largest criminal to ever walk the planet Earth. That is the organization type known as government.
I guess my point is that crime is a legal term and that immoral acts would be more proper without government.
Yes, and you would be able to seek justice till you were satisfied.
Oh, I hope so.
Not, have to like live or die with the decision of people that have never met you or anybody involved with whatever the transgression was, et cetera, and so on.
Right.
There would be services you could pay to do all of this for you as well, because the free market would just interject where value is required. And boom, there you have it. So,
yep, securities.
Let's go to Scott calling from Miami. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, Captain Joab and Vincent. Thanks for taking my call. Today, of course, marks it's a milestone Derek Chauvin trial, but I'm going to tell you something. I still am not up. I still believe that horrific race wars will eventually explode across America, even if this pacified somewhat. Somewhere down the road, there'll be other things, and one of these days it's going to really explode. And when it does, it's going to surpass the 1960s, like the bloody riots in Watts in L.A. in the 60s, in Chicago and Detroit. And talking about Chicago, you probably know that blacks are killing each other, blacks. This is worse than the days of Al Capone when white, Italian, Irish...
Are they doing it with guns?
Yes.
Oh, you mean the blacks in Chicago?
I'm just talking about, Chicago at all. Are people, killing each other with guns? Because Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws on planet Earth. Like, everything is illegal gun-wise in Chicago. Like, if you're carrying, like, a squirt gun or a Nerf dart gun or something like, an aerosol or something like that, like, you're probably going to get shot by the police.
That's everywhere, Bo.
You would know. I mean, look at the news. Look at the podcast. All of these 7 people shot in Chicago, 10 people shot. You would know that they had strict gun laws. You wouldn't know that. But anyway,
how many people a day does government kill, Scott?
Many through neglect, starvation. I hate government. And I hate this government. And I want to tell you something.
But you only hate it because it's controlled by the, as you put it, the Zionists.
That is true. They do.
So if Vincent here controlled the government, would you be okay with government?
I would be okay with government if government was fair.
But
government is not fair.
Wait, no, I meant Vincent specifically here, Scott.
Yeah, I'm 100% Aryan. I'm 100% Aryan, verified by science.
Thanks for the call, Scott. You are?
Yeah.
By science.
Well, I do have Native American ancestry, so I guess like 99% Aryan.
So you're
Back to the
Mutt.
Gauls, Highlands, the Picts.
603-283-6160 is the number if you'd like to join the conversation. More Free Talk Live coming your way.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You know that at some point in your life, an emergency is going to happen. You just don't know when. You could call the government and maybe they'll help, or they might shoot your dog. Why call potentially psychopathic strangers when you could ask your friends, family, or neighbors for help? Cell 411 makes decentralized emergency response possible, and it's free. Visit getcell411.com or download Cell 411 from your favorite app store. Getcell411.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Oh, wow, man. It's like 4:20 or something, man. I don't know what's going on. Is this a radio station, man? Wow, I got headphones and microphones. You guys got headphones and microphones too? Oh, my God. This is Free Talk Live, if you're wondering. It is the 420 edition. I am making fun of stoners, of course, because, well, I am one. Favorite stoner snack? Go. Joa.
Funyuns.
Favorite stoner snack? Vincent, go.
Sliders.
All right. I am a sucker for nacho cheese Doritos, and you just dip them straight into sour cream.
Didn't you just like randomly say Twinkie out loud?
Well,
earlier?
no. It's what I had elsewhere. What I have elsewhere.
Oh,
I'm starting to get hungry.
Well, if you're hungry for cryptocurrency, you can visit bitcoin.com, because bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse for you to ignore this very important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com to get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. We've been talking about this article from Time.com, which is also arguably the largest news in the nation at this particular minute in space and time. Derek Chauvin found guilty of murdering George Floyd. And so we've opined on many things. There's a couple of bits here at the end that I think were, as far as Time is concerned, a pretty good writing. Chauvin's trial has now made history in a city whose police department has a long history of racist incidents, and in a nation where criminal charges for police officers are rare and convictions extraordinary, as far as rareness is concerned. From January 2005 to March 2021, just 138 law enforcement officers have been charged with murder or manslaughter for on-duty shootings, according to an analysis prepared for Time by Philip Stinson, a professor of criminal justice who also directs the Henry A. Wallace Police Crime Database at Bowling Green State University. Of the 138 officers, 44 have been convicted. And while the trial was unfolding on April 11th, another black man was killed by a police officer in the Minnesota city of Brooklyn Center. It's basically Minneapolis. They keep making this distinction, but it's basically the same thing.
I thought this was happening in New York for like a few days.
Mere miles away from Minneapolis, which, it's like a neighborhood of Minneapolis, if you will. The fatal shooting of 20-year-old Dante Wright during a traffic stop sparked protests in a city already on the edge. Crump said Wright's was another black life taken unjustly by police, and he was deprived of the benefit of humanity.
Well, I think I know which way that case is going to swing, too. I hope she gets murdered. And
taser. That's a lady, right?
There's no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
She feared for her life. We shouldn't run up to someone's car, pull him over, and try to kidnap him. I think, there's a moral, perspective here.
And the reason he had a warrant was failure to appear for some other bench thing that he had going on. So, the warrant in and of itself is their excuse. But if you look at what the warrant was for, it was just failure to appear for some other bench style, thing. So,
and God forbid you have an air freshener, because that's what got him pulled over in the first place.
Well, that's according to his mom. He had called and said, "Hey, I'm getting pulled over," and she's like, "Why are they pulling you over?" He's like, "For the air fresheners hanging from my window or from his rearview mirror." So, what I do find interesting, though, I don't know which one of you brought this one in, but this is from the U.S. Sun. George Floyd trial. 3,000 National Guard deployed in Minneapolis as ex-cop Derek Chauvin is found guilty of murder. Now, where did they deploy these 3,000 National Guard troops? Did they deploy them to
St. Paul and in Minneapolis?
Okay, but let's be a little more specific. Did they deploy them to protect the crowds of people that were gathering, or did they deploy them to protect the government buildings and such from the crowds that were gathering?
Oh, yeah.
Or to protect private businesses from being looted and destroyed.
Well, sure. But they've been fortifying their government facilities for a while now, not just because of this incident. Even before Floyd, I think there was escalation in riots, and they definitely had it barricaded and that sort of thing during the RNC in St. Paul years ago. So they've been building this up, and this is what government does. They're gonna fortify their infrastructure so they can just keep on with business. And even if they did get these buildings, their idea still is going to stay in place, especially when they roll out 3,000 troops.
And this is worded so strangely. Thousands of National Guard troops have been drafted into Minneapolis as the city braces itself for possible riots when the Derek Chauvin's trial verdict was given. Why would they use the term drafted?
I agree. Maybe no one wanted to do it, and they basically got a bunch of people that would do it. I don't know.
Like usually it's deployed. So someone who's in the National Guard, for what was it, two weekends a month, 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
They say, okay, you're being deployed. So it could just be a poor choice in words.
Yeah,
I'm not a military expert, so I wouldn't want to make any claim on the wording. But
well, it says Major General Sean Menke said more than 3,000 National Guard troops were deployed across St. Paul and Minnesota in anticipation of possible unrest, the Wall Street Journal reported. Pictures showed demonstrators gathered in Minneapolis as they waited for Chauvin's verdict to be announced. People were seen rejoicing with their fists in the air and hugging one another as it was revealed that Chauvin had been found guilty. National Guard troops being deployed came as countless protesters took to the streets when the closing arguments were heard on Monday, with demonstrators brandishing signs that read, "Blue Lives Matter," as they demanded justice for George Floyd. I'm sorry. To my knowledge, there isn't a race of human beings that are blue. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you just saw that. I just showed you that chart of Chicago. There's blue people.
Are you talking about the Blue Man Group?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're over there in Mass, right?
Blue Lives Matter. Oh, my God.
Blue Lives Murder, right? Isn't that what the protest was called?
Oh, wait. You know what? I did read that wrong. It does say Blue Lives Murder was one of the protest signs, not Blue Lives Matter. Okay. Well,
I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was like, what kind of protest
but either way, the argument could be applied. Like, are they a blue life or are they just a life?
Smurfs.
They're not a Smurf. That's interesting that you bring that up. I made some passing joke about Smurfs last night on the show as well. It was all Smurfy. No worries. Shops and businesses have boarded up doors and windows as the Minnesota city transformed into a fortress over the weekend, with vandals smearing pig's blood and leaving a severed pig's head at the home of an expert witness for the defense.
What a waste of a pig.
I mean, you could have had a pig roast.
Ooh, those are nice.
I mean, yeah. More than 1,100 officers from public safety agencies across Minnesota have also been brought in to help stem any potential unrest as the city waited with bated breath over the verdict and blah, 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 blah. So they rolled in, military people. They call them the National Guard, of course, but they've got all the fitting accoutrements, tanks, Humvees, whatever you want to call
you could even
military-style rifles.
You could even mistake them for the police.
If they only brought in 1,100 officers and 3,000 guardsmen, that's only 4,100. I bet you this crowd, who that's protesting and cheering now and dancing in the street, there's probably a lot more of them. Just saying. Just want to put that out there.
Well, this article starts into the article we had to sort of segue into. In the early hours of Sunday morning, 2 members of the National Guard who were deployed, drafted, were hurt in a drive-by shooting.
Ooh.
We'll find out more about that when we come back. Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is next. 603-283-6160.
Hey developers, do you want to add Bitcoin to your apps, website? Want to make something creative? AnyPay is the way. We made a super simple API just for you at anypay.dev. You don't need any special knowledge of Bitcoin. Plug it into your app or website and it just works. Get paid on the transactions your users make. Whether you're brand new to web development or have decades of experience, you can add Bitcoin to anything with anypay.dev.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a nonprofit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is a Fox News alert. He's been found guilty. I'm Lisa Lacera. The jury considering the fate of a former police officer in the death of George Floyd came to a decision after about 10 hours of deliberations.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter. Judge Cahill polled each juror affirming their findings.
Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Second-degree murder carries a 40-year prison term, third-degree carries 25 years, and manslaughter carries 10. Chauvin sat in a suit and tie, his face covered by a mask. He watched jurors with little reaction aside from a furrowed brow. The judge thanked the jurors for what he called heavy-duty jury service and told attorneys sentencing would be in 8 weeks. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Floyd family attorney Ben Crump.
America, let's pause for a moment to proclaim this historical moment, not just for the legacy of George Floyd, but for the legacy of America.
President Biden and Vice President Harris are expected to speak about the verdict later this evening. They spoke with the Floyd family after the verdict was read. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison.
George Floyd mattered. He was loved by his family and his friends. His death shocked the conscience of our community, our country, the whole world.
And Ellison said George Floyd mattered because he was a human being, and he thanked the witnesses who saw what happened to him and spoke out and recorded it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi thanked George Floyd for, as she put it, sacrificing his life for justice, saying his name will always be synonymous with justice. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you running a business? Then why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office 24/7. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Progress being made in the third-party negotiations between the U.S. and Iran over the Iran nuclear deal.
The chair of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, released a statement today indicating that conversations will resume next week. A representative of the Russian delegation said that a political solution is still far away, but that talks have moved from general words to agreeing on specific steps. Drafts of an agreement are reportedly being drawn up, though the Iranians are cautioning that their position remains unchanged. Officials in Tehran have demanded that all sanctions on Iran be lifted before the country returns to the confines of the nuclear deal. This month, Iran started to enrich uranium at 60% purity, well beyond the 3.7% agreed upon in the original plan. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
The Energy Department has announced a 100-day plan to confront cyber threats against the nation's power grid.
In a statement, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm said the United States faces a well-documented and increasing cyber threat from malicious actors seeking to disrupt the electricity Americans rely on to power our homes and businesses. The initiative encourages operators to implement technology that enhances their detection, mitigation, and forensic capabilities. The Energy Department is also asking for feedback from electric utilities, energy companies, academia, and research laboratories on securing the nation's energy systems. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
With pandemic restrictions easing, global warming emissions
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On July 21st, 2007, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the final installment in the widely popular Harry Potter series, was released, as excited fans all over the world eagerly flipped to the book's final pages to find out if Harry and Lord Voldemort finally
Author J.K. Rowling had already succeeded in creating one of the most popular literary franchises of all time. And of course, much of that success was owed to the expertly crafted sexual tension that steadily built up between the series' protagonist, schoolboy wizard Harry Potter, and the Dark Lord Voldemort. Everyone in the country wanted to know whether or not they would and if they did how many times would they and who would be who.
And that was what happened this week in history. In the words of Mother Teresa, if there is one lesson to learn from the past, it's that no matter what you do, there will always be a bunch more crippled dying kids.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
I said, what's the name of the show? And you said, Free Talk Live. And I said, it is Free Talk Live, isn't it? And you said, yes, it is Free Talk Live. And then you said, I wonder who the hosts are tonight. And I said, they'll probably announce it as soon as they come back from the commercial break and all that kind of stuff. And then you said, yeah, they tend to do that, but sometimes they get sloppy and they forget. And I said, yeah, that's true.
Not this time.
And they might forget because it's 420 as well.
I like being a disembodied voice.
And then...
Wait, who am I again?
I don't know. Where are we?
Okay, guys, it's a second hour. Okay, we get it. Today's 420. We get it. It's a second hour.
Vincent's like, okay, all right, let's be serious now.
I'm a little hazy over here, guys.
It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's the Captain, Joe, and Vincent. Ha ha! I stole your voices.
Oh, it's Joe. Darn it.
And who?
Vincent.
Okay. Just in case anybody needed a reminder. We've been talking about this article from the U.S. Sun, which goes into great detail about the 3,000 National Guard that were deployed, nay, drafted into Minneapolis.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
As they awaited the verdict, there was just a little tiny bit here at the
It's not
end.
enough of what they want to accomplish because there's way more protesters out there than 3,000. So I'm just saying.
Indeed. So they go into this bit about how in the early hours of Sunday morning, 2 members of the National Guard were hurt in a drive-by shooting. And one of you guys brought in this bit from KSTP.com, which is ABC Channel 5 in Minneapolis. It says, man arrested and charged following shooting that injured 2 National Guard members in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, this was mine. This is, at least to me, it was breaking news. I didn't get a chance to look at the news all day, and I covered this issue on my show on my show Monday, where Maxine Waters, right, a congresswoman from California, she, who notably, people might recognize her voice from a soundbite where she's telling like a crowd of protesters to, get up in people's faces and, crowd them at restaurants, and who also said that anyone who entered the Capitol on, the January 6th riot was a terrorist. So she was in. She was in Minneapolis.
Wait, didn't a bunch of politicians enter the Capitol on that day?
No. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm talking about that was afterwards, right? She's talking about those criminals. Right?
All right.
And so anyway, so she's saying that all these people who just went into a building are domestic terrorists. So she went to Minnesota, and she was giving an interview saying that protesters need to be more confrontational. Need to be more get out there more. And
why would she say stuff like that?
I don't know, just why. I think they want more uprisings. I think
it sounds like riot incitement
because
to me.
Because it lets them increase the police state, right? I mean, they sacrifice one pawn, right, Chauvin, just to get people used to have this, seeing riot, people in riot gear, having the machine guns. Essentially, as I said, having police, right, law enforcement be indistinguishable from the military. And so that's why I think you have these politicians like her, advocating dissent and such, right? Sort of like it looks like she's biting the hand that feeds her, right? Because these people are want to be, a lot of them are there just to peacefully protest, right? But then there's a very vocal, very loud minority that is rioting, looting, destroying things, hurting people, hurting journalists too, right? If someone's trying to film, they don't want them filming their crime, so they attack the person, they hit them in the head with rocks, and so she's there provoking these people, right? She's in a way inciting these people to insurrection, and then a few hours later, there's a drive-by shooting against the National Guard,
and that's where this article picks up. So this says a 28-year-old man has been arrested and charged following an incident over the weekend during which National Guard members were shot at in Minneapolis. Shot at, not shot, but shot at. According to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Andrew Thomas has been charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. Well, okay, so there's a couple things here. First of all, never trust a man with two first names, Andrew Thomas. That's just a running joke that I have.
Duly noted.
Yeah. Number two, of course, is he was charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. Now, what does that mean? Well, President Kid Sniffer has signed a bunch of EOs recently talking about, more gun control and, strengthening the laws that already exist, et cetera, and so on. Well, here's a guy who it's already illegal for him to possess a firearm, and he's been charged with, well, just that exact thing. So make all the laws you want, doesn't mean people aren't going to possess firearms. And again, I contend, government, if you wish the people to be disarmed, you must first put down your arms and show us how the F it's done. Continuing on.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone should really lose their gun rights. Even if you've been convicted of a felon, you serve your time,
and you get out, you should get your gun rights back.
That's right.
It used to be that way.
The Constitution is pretty clear, and I'm only citing the Constitution because that's their game. And if that's what the law says, that's what the law says. Stop being hypocrites, and let's get to the bottom of this, and that people still have the right to protect themselves after serving their time.
But Joe, the law is not for them; it's for us.
I think the solution to all of this, where we could, agree with BLM, is that cops should be like cops in the United Kingdom, right, in the UK, not given any guns.
Where they yell "halt," or I'll yell "halt" once again.
Or where they arrest people for having spoons and cutlery.
They do.
And then people would say, oh, well, what if there's like a shooting or something? Then, they keep the special, they have like a special firearms unit for if there's like, a mass shooting or something. And I think you would be able to cut down on a majority of these deaths if you just disarm the police, right? We don't need gun control.
Agree.
We need police control.
Yes.
Or law enforcement too, FBI and these agents and stuff.
I would argue we need abolishment of the organization of police as it is currently known.
Well, like what I was saying earlier is that they have written so many laws that we're all criminals now. I'm sure, I don't know, there's a book out there that's like you commit at least 3 felonies a day.
3 felonies a day.
And I haven't read it myself, but
You should read
I
it. It's a
get
good
the
book.
premise, and it's true. Like we're subjugated to all these different laws, and then they expect us to be good citizens, subjects.
Yeah, it's really about them versus us. The problem that I have with the police department in general, right? We're talking about any police department anywhere in the United States of America. They have no incentive to do the right thing. Period. They have no incentive to do the right thing.
They have every incentive to arrest you because they get double in the courts when they sit there and try you, whatever. And they obviously get promoted when they make arrests. So they have every incentive to forego their discretion and to look for profit or raises or promotions or just, overall societal clout, because there's a lot of people that, support the blue, back the blue.
But the incentive structure is backwards, to say the least, if not upside down, if not completely inverted, in my opinion. And that is why you're never going to see meaningful police reform. You cannot reform an organization that is based in immorality and no ethics. It is impossible. The organization itself is based on a monopoly of force, a monopoly of violence. They claim to be the ones able to initiate violence. And they claim a monopoly on it, because if you try to initiate violence, no, that's our turf you're stepping on, pal. So they claim a monopoly on force, a monopoly on violence. And you cannot build an organization that acts in a just way when it's based on immorality and lack of ethics. It's just not possible to do so.
Rarely you get a private company to do outside source to investigate a murder happening by the police, right? It's usually themselves investigating themselves and finding no wrongdoing.
Of course, because they have all the incentive in the world not to. 603-283-6160 is the number here in the studio. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. The telephone number here in studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Operators are not standing by, but we do have an automated system that will answer your call until we can get to screen you and then put you on the air. That's how it works here on Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Joa.
And Vincent.
And we've been talking about, well, all sorts of fun things. Of course, the Chauvin verdict, the fact that there were over 3,000 National Guard deployed into Minneapolis in anticipation of the reading of the verdict. And now a man has been arrested and charged following a shooting that injured two of these National Guard members in Minneapolis. A 28-year-old man has been arrested and charged following an incident over the weekend during which National Guard members were shot at in Minneapolis. A criminal complaint says at about 4:20 a.m. on Sunday.
Oh, wow. I tell you, all this terrible news is killing my buzz.
It is. A criminal complaint says at about 4:20 a.m. Sunday, a team of National Guard soldiers and a Minneapolis police officer had multiple shots fired at them near Penn Avenue North and West Broadway Avenue. The two soldiers suffered minor injuries from the incident. Later Sunday evening, police in the area of 6th Street South and Cedar Avenue South located an SUV that matched the description to the suspect vehicle in the shooting. After conducting a traffic stop, Thomas and a juvenile passenger were placed in separate police cars. After receiving a warrant, officers later executed a search of the vehicle and found 2 firearms, ammunition, and 2 cartridge casings, according to the complaint. Thomas is unable to have a firearm due to a prior felony, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. He is expected to make his first court appearance on Tuesday. So that is Andrew Thomas, the man who's been arrested, and somebody else they haven't named because he's a juvenile, apparently. Your thoughts?
I don't think the community wants authorities there, and I don't blame them because look what they're doing to people. And so, I mean, you should expect these types of things. But if they try to escalate, if the government tries to escalate by sending troops there, you're not going to create a more peaceful situation. Let them party in the streets right now. Let them have their day because, and now you got to change policy.
Well, I think Maxine Waters needs to be censored in the House of Representatives for stirring insurrection, right? Because, representatives can't be impeached. So I think she needs to get a taste of her own medicine.
Yeah, let's go to Turd Ferguson, who's calling from his hot tub in Pennsylvania. Turd, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hey gentlemen, I appreciate you taking my call. You guys are a little bit quiet on my end, but I'll try to bear with you here. If you could even turn up the volume on your end to set.
Is this better?
It might even. It's definitely better.
All right, I'll try and talk like this the rest of the night.
Great. Now, the reason why I'm calling is because there seems to be quite a lot of cuckery going on in the Matrix.lrn.fm chat tonight, particularly from one Chantel who's acting like a total bootlicker tonight, total cop sucker. And to the point where it's almost disgusting and pitiful. I mean, I can't stand the authoritarian, loving bootlickers. It just makes me sick, the cuckery, you know what I mean? But there seems to be some confusion about the Derek Chauvin trial because there are a lot of conservatives out there that seems to think that this guy is innocent. And I actually watched the trial, unlike the conservative commentators who didn't watch the trial and they're just all copying what Ben Shapiro is saying and getting their news right from Ben Shapiro and just regurgitating it.
I don't listen to Ben Shapiro.
It's true. I watched the trial myself, and I could tell you based on the evidence of the trial that Derek Chauvin is definitely guilty of murder 2, and he's definitely guilty of manslaughter as well. Forget about even murder 3 because we already proved murder 2, but he was committing a felony. The chief of police testified that he was assaulting George Floyd when he had his knee on his neck. He was committing a felony while George Floyd died, and he was the one that calls George Floyd today as the expert autopsy witness came in and testified to. So the conservatives out there that are saying that Derek Chauvin is innocent, it's just a bunch of mother cuckery, if you don't mind me saying.
Be careful.
I'm being as careful as I can.
Yeah, well, be more careful.
Gotcha. Yeah, but what do you guys think of my piece?
What do I think of your piece? Well, sometimes turds fall into several pieces and they get flushed. So we appreciate the call tonight, Turd. What do I think of it? Well, you have an opinion, and your opinion differs probably from everybody else's opinion. So, that's what I think. I think everybody has an opinion about this thing. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who knows? It's hard to tell when government's involved. All I can tell you is that I believe that I witnessed a man kneel on the neck of another man until he died on a piece of video that I watched.
Because
that's what I can tell you.
Of a supposed fraudulent bill. I mean, it's already fraudulent, and then someone made a copy. He probably acquired it.
You're talking about money? FRNs?
Yes. The almighty dollar is what those cops were protecting one way or another. That's undoubtable. And, if we print it, let's just say that he actually did make it himself, which I don't think he did. I think he acquired it some other way. He didn't realize it, whatever. But what is the legitimacy of that bill one way or another? Because you could just make him out of thin air.
Anything?
I think nothing. I'm sure a lot of people are relieved that it was a guilty verdict, but I don't think anything good could come from this. I mean, I think this is, going to be the beginning of a lot of police federalization, and it's, it's like they sacrifice one pawn for an even greater. Looks like in order to create an even greater police state down the road.
Yeah, it seems that that's going to be the way it's going to go. I can't imagine it going any other direction.
Because, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just thinking, if instead of only protesting when CNN, plays a video, and then when the mainstream media talks about murder of one person, why, if people got together, by the thousands or by the millions and protested against a police state, right? Like, they protest against the death of one person and they don't protest against all the riot, like they don't protest against cops having bearcats in small towns.
Right.
They don't protest against people's, losing their property due to civil asset forfeiture or, the IRS, right? I mean, if they protested those institutional things, we wouldn't have to deal with them anymore. So I don't really see any good coming from this, because the only reason why any quote, justice was served was just because that's what, that's sort of what like the establishment and the media wanted to happen in this case.
And I think that maybe for the first time in a long time, the establishment was concerned about what might happen had they found him not guilty.
Well, Biden was able to call the family today, and I'm like, oh, this is all political now.
Of course it is. 603-283-6160. Can these things get more political? I believe they can. We'll talk more coming up on Free Talk Live.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
You are listening to Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you would like to call in and take control of the airwaves, talk about anything that's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Captain.
Joa.
And Vincent.
On March 16th of 2020, government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham, a 60-year-old grandmother. These 6 people, now called the Crypto Six, were arrested and taken into custody. Both Ian Freeman and Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, remain in custody. And we can't really tell you why. What can you do to help? Well, check out thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund because these charges are not a joke. It's going to take serious legal power and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by contributing to their legal defense fund at thecrypto6.com. One more time, thecrypto6.com.
We missed you guys.
We do. We did get to have Ian on the show last night, calling from Merrimack County Jail. He was able to get his hour of yard time or whatever they're calling it during the show, kind of right at the top of the show. And we kept him on for a couple of segments. Surprisingly, considering the circumstances, he seems in good spirits. But I think a bit of that was just he was happy to talk to us and, get his voice out on the show that he founded, once again.
It was the only part of the show I was able to listen to last night.
It's a good part. I mean,
yes, it was.
If you were going to listen to just one part, that would have been the one. So we've been talking about the Chauvin decision, of course. Guilty. All 3 counts. Unanimously. We've been talking about the fact that they deployed over 3,000 National Guard troops to Minneapolis.
Not enough.
And then, of course, a 28-year-old man was arrested and charged following an incident over the weekend during which a couple National Guard members were shot at. And one of these people was a felon who, shouldn't be able to get a gun legally, which I'm sure he didn't, but he had one nonetheless. And so we could talk more about that. If you guys have more
so the terminology is he's not allowed to get a gun? Can he make a gun?
Possess, no. I believe.
Oh, so he can't possess something that even if he makes it himself.
Yeah, according to a news release from U.S. Attorney's Office, Andrew Thomas has been charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So, I'm not sure how it would go down. Like, let's say I'm a felon and I'm married to a non-felon and my wife owns guns. Now, if I picked one up because there was, some terrorists trying to kick down my door with like a battering ram or something, would I be guilty of felon in possession of a firearm?
Well,
Probably.
See, we had a caller of maybe like 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about just that, how his wife had guns and that he was charged with felony possession. Do you remember that?
I do not.
He lost his kids. His girlfriend went, to her drug dealer. That story.
It doesn't ring a bell. Was I on the show that time?
It was a sad.
You sure I was on the show?
Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe not. Sorry about that.
It's all right. No, it sounds like a great story. I will go back at freetalklive.com and search the archives.
Yes.
For that story, because it sounds like one I need to listen to. I try and keep up with the shows. I do listen to the digest version that Riley Blake puts together for us on nearly a daily basis, if not a daily basis. It's been a while since he's taken a show off. But what he does is he takes the whole 3-hour episode of Free Talk Live and condenses it down into about a half hour and gives you kind of the highlights of every show. I find them on SoundCloud.com, but your podcatcher, if you just type in FTL Digest, your podcatcher should be able to grab those. So if you ever find yourself falling behind on the program, you can just catch up with these quick 30-minute episodes of Free Talk Live that kind of touch on the main points and are sort of the highlights of the show that Riley puts together for us. So thank you, Riley, for doing that.
Thanks.
I want to kind of take a turn here. I don't have a fresh segue for how to get from Chauvin and the National Guard to Dogecoin.
I know how. It's 420.
I believe the correct answer is it's 420 man.
It's 420 man.
I believe you have to, use the word man at the end in order to qualify. So no points for you. This from Bloomberg, or is it finance.yahoo.com? It looks like it could be both.
Yahoo Finance.
Dogecoin retreats after topping Ford and Kraft in market value.
That's pretty impressive.
Now, I am from the old school. When cryptocurrency was first coming up, there were like 4 cryptocurrencies. There was Bitcoin, BTC. There was Litecoin, LTC. There was Ethereum, ETH. And then there was Doge. Now, Doge, at the time, was a joke.
It's kind of still is.
It kind of still is. It's true. But for it, I mean, this is how seriously you guys should be taking cryptocurrency. That somebody created a joke called Dogecoin, and it's doing well.
You see, I think what happened when it first came out is that it didn't cost much, just like Bitcoin, but large chunks of it were laid out into the realm of crypto collectors, and it set a great platform, I think, for someone to rumor it, like Elon Musk, and just tweet about it, and then all of a sudden it blows up. And
rumor coin, interesting.
Yeah, well, I look at it as like the mega coin, the mega death coin that's come out, and I think I don't know what was the price.
That was an NFT, a non-fungible token. It was $18,000, I think.
Yeah. But it's going to be a coin. I mean, it's going to be a tradable coin at some point.
It's just one singular token that contains a piece of artwork that could be sold or traded.
Well, that's cool though. But I mean, you could split that.
No, actually, you can't.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks.
It's kind of the whole idea behind the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, is that it represents a real-world piece of art, or it's a piece of art itself, whether it's audio, like a song. I think Kevin Smith is making a movie that's going to be an NFT, and so whoever buys it can do whatever they want with the movie. They can keep it for themselves and just watch it and never let anybody else see it, or they can release it to theaters if they want to. They can do whatever they want because they buy the NFT. So it's like, I don't pretend.
I see these new applications with crypto.
I don't pretend to understand the mechanics of non-fungible tokens. I can only tell you that sometimes the world of art will find a new and interesting use for technology. And that is what will propel the technology further. We see that all the time, particularly with digital technology. As soon as digital technology came along, it changed the world of making records, of making albums. No longer did you have to actually cut and splice physical tape together with other pieces of tape and get it just right. And if you screwed up, oh, well, you're fired because we're going to hire some other guy who's better than you at cut tape. No, now you could just do it all on your computer. And if you screwed up, you can undo it. And that kind of a thing. So digital technology changed music first and foremost. So it wouldn't surprise me to see an art application on the blockchain change art fundamentally. I'm just waiting for somebody like Banksy to start doing NFTs.
Okay.
Something like that to like give it If it is legit, I think somebody like that could certainly help drive it.
We're just getting into art. I can imagine all the possibilities now.
Yes, we've gone on a tangent. If you'd like to join us, 603-283-6160. What kind of tangent would you like?
Following the announcement of First Communion, the Holy Spookerist, the first hardcore pornographic movie to be filmed in Vatican City since 1982's classic adult feature Pope Fisters 4, Onion reporter spoke to Herschel Savage, director of the film.
It's a huge honor for me and everyone else involved with this film. This is where they shot Pope Fisters 4. I mean, that movie's a masterpiece. Well, when we wrote up the script, we sent it over to the Vatican to get the Pope's approval and see if he had any notes, but he loved it just the way it was.
The highly anticipated pornographic film, which stars Ron Jeremy as the horny sea himself, Pope Benedict the 69th, will reportedly contain graphic sex scenes filmed in the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Square, and the Pope Mobile, among various other notable sites within the Vatican.
Well, actually, I'm just watching a cut of this amazing scene we shot last night where Pope Benedict is gangbanging a bunch of nuns in his bed, and it was great because the Pope let us use his bedroom. Tomorrow we're shooting the scene where two nuns fuck each other on St. Peter's tomb using strap-on crucifixes. I think people are really going to like this movie.
This is the Onion News Network.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen. Yeah, come on and call in. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. if you'd like to join us here on air, talk about whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Joa.
And Vincent.
Everybody's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Well, I'm sorry, but that's boring as hell. How about you earn some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPayX.com is the way to do it. Your customers will love it, and everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store. And it's just fun. Get the free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business now. AnyPayX.com. That's AnyPayX.com.
Hey, if you're not convinced yet that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency isn't the way to save your money, we had some recent news of that Bitcoin became the best performing asset of the decade.
It's true, but you're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of reach it and branch it with that one.
No, it's fine. It's true. I have this article that says Bitcoin becomes the best performing asset of the decade, returning 10 times more than the NASDAQ 100.
That's amazing.
I'm sorry, the NASDAQ 100. I get a little dyslexic when it comes to
I think that's the name of the stock trading hub on GTA 5.
NASDAQ?
NASDAQ.
That's all right. But before we get to the best performing asset of the decade, we were talking about this joke coin named Dogecoin, which retreated after topping Ford and Kraft in market value. Those are a couple of pretty mighty large companies for a little joke coin to top.
I think it even beat Ethereum in terms of like market activity recently.
Wow.
I mean, Ford, found on the road dead.
Fixed or repaired daily.
That too. Is a government subsidized company, right?
I mean,
and
aren't
they just basically couldn't survive without the government and stealing from you and us. But Doge is not backed by the government and funded by your stolen tax dollars.
Not in any way, shape, or form. This says, for a cryptocurrency created as a joke, Dogecoin finds itself in some serious company. After a 400% rally in the past week, the total value of all circulating Dogecoin in the world briefly rose to as much as $50 billion. According to the data provider CoinMarketCap.com, the digital token later retreated by about 20% Tuesday, reducing its market value by around $10 billion from the high. Man.
Yeah. Go Doge. It's Doge Day, if you guys didn't know either.
I don't know about that, but the surge had made it bigger than the market cap of Ford Motor Company and Kraft Heinz Company, and nearly equal to Twitter Incorporated, the platform where Elon Musk and Mark Cuban have promoted the Shiba Inu themed meme coin.
You can't make this up.
This is news that's too good to be made up.
I don't think it's good news at all. I mean, I think this is like the closest equivalent we have to tulips in the cryptosphere. Unlike, there's nothing. It's a meme coin. It's not it's not backed by anything. You can't make contracts or whatever. It doesn't have the same institutional support Bitcoin does. And yet you have a lot of people who are getting into it, right? New to cryptocurrency, who want to make a quick buck. And then when inevitably Dogecoin does crash, people are going to get upset. They're going to blame it on crypto. They're going to beg, they're going to lose more money than they could afford, and they're going to beg the government to regulate all of it. So it's called what they call dumb money, and it ruins markets. So I don't think this is a good thing at all in terms of cryptocurrency.
I don't think it's dumb. I think it's great. I think
I'm sorry to interrupt, but not the currency itself. It's a meme coin. It's a joke.
Sure.
I'm talking about the people who are some of the people putting it's like the people chasing the
Musk tweets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're buying the news.
I agree with that.
It's buyer beware. This is the free market, unlike any other free market that you might think exists. There is actually only one free market, and that is the black market. It is really the only free market that exists.
I like the gray markets.
Gray markets are fun. I would put cryptocurrency in the gray market category myself, unless you're talking about real privacy coins or coins that are being developed specifically for privacy. Everything else falls in the gray market. The Dogecoin falls into, I don't even know, man. Like the clown market.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I agree with
like
that. Honk, honk.
Yeah, like, I mean, you might get lucky. It might be the closest thing to like a crypto slot machine. Well, no, I think they actually have those somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, you can lose everything if you put everything into it. You can just be careful, people. Know what you're doing before you do it, and then be prepared to lose that.
Oh yeah, and the people who are pushing it, right? Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, right? What do they have in common? Gee, they're billionaires. They can afford to lose money if they, on a joke investment, right? Compared to, there's a lot of people.
Keeps them in the news.
Oh yeah, and especially now with the coronavirus, right? When there's so much economic devastation going on that's being unacknowledged, right? People are going to be more desperate than ever. They're going to want to find a way to, get rich quick, and it's just going to lead to a lot of disappointment, I believe.
Now, just think about what that says for the rest of the markets. Not talking about cryptocurrency, but just like the markets in general, right? All of the businesses and companies out there that this isn't a big deal for like Elon and who's the other guy?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. This isn't a big deal for them to like just sort of play around with something that may or may not increase in value. It's not a big deal for them because they do it all the time with actual companies that, are probably worth even less than Dogecoin is worth right now. So you have a very good point. No one thinks these blue chip stocks are all that comparable to Dogecoin, a fringe asset with no real purpose beyond being a joke on social media. But the similarity of their market values underscores the boom in cryptocurrencies that's taken Wall Street by storm. Plumber buying Doge shows retail investors' power in crypto. It's all part of the dizzying trajectory for Dogecoin, which has delighted followers of so-called altcoins, but dismayed some crypto enthusiasts who worry that it's only adding to the volatility and detracting from its more useful endeavors like decentralized finance. Good point. Dogecoin prices have rallied recently, with fans rallying behind the Doge Day hashtag. Thank you, Joe. To celebrate what? To celebrate what?
The trading day of
April 20th or 420.
April 20th, of course.
Known in cannabis culture as a day for smoking marijuana. Man.
I believe it was the day it was created, though. That's why they're calling it Doge Day.
Prices pulled back to around 31 cents on Tuesday, according to CoinGecko.com. Meanwhile, other cryptocurrencies have been mired in a slump as euphoria from Coinbase Global Inc.'s listing wears off. Bitcoin, the world's largest token, edged up about 1% after falling for 4 straight days to about 56,800. I don't, this is what I find funny about this situation. Coinbase, probably the most evil cryptocurrency company that I can think of. Right? There might be one more evil, but they're certainly up there, right? And they're probably like the biggest dog when it comes to being, I've filled out all the proper paperwork to be a company with the government.
Well, why are they evil? Hold on. You can't call something evil and not give an explanation.
Oh, well, they were the first to institute KYC. And
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to start reporting on,
they gave up a bunch of customer information to the government.
I see. Oh,
yeah.
Right. After saying they weren't going to.
Okay, they are deserving of it.
And then they did. And like we didn't give it all. We only gave some. It's like, no, screw you. You gave some, and I'm not doing business with you anymore. So yes, Coinbase, a very evil company. Do not keep any money on Coinbase if you can avoid it. Put it on. I'm not a financial wizard. I'm not a legal person, but I recommend that you put it either in a custodial wallet or in some sort of a hardware wallet. Not your keys, not your money is the rule of cryptocurrency. If you don't know what your keys are, odds are you don't own your cryptocurrency and somebody else can walk away with it tomorrow.
Decentralize your assets. Do not keep them centralized on in the corporate hands, basically, is my suggestion. Print it out and put it in a safe.
So I think I was trying to make a larger point, and the larger point is this. Dogecoin, a meme coin, can have this insane market effect where like just some rumors, some famous people talking about it makes it go up in value. Coinbase, trying to be like a business that bridges, regular finance to cryptocurrency, announces its IPO, and cryptocurrencies crash. That's another way you know Coinbase is evil. 603-283-6160. Hour number 3 of Free Talk Live is on the way.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com. Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is a Fox News alert. It can be a giant step forward for the country. I'm Lisa Lacera. That's what President Biden said after a Minneapolis jury found former police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts in the death of George Floyd.
It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see.
But the president said reforms can't stop with just this verdict. Vice President Kamala Harris.
We feel a sigh of relief. Still, it cannot take away the pain. A measure of justice isn't the same as equal justice.
And the vice president called on the Senate to pass the Justice in Policing Act. Attorney General Merrick Garland says a federal civil rights investigation of Derek Chauvin is ongoing. After the verdict was read, Minnesota's top prosecutor spoke out.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison praised jurors, but said while accountability may have occurred here, true justice has not. He said that is now in the hands of the people.
In the coming days, more may seek to express themselves again through petition and demonstration. I urge everyone to honor the legacy of George Floyd by doing so calmly, legally, and peacefully.
He said this verdict is a call for societal change and said this generation is being called upon to reset the relationship between community and law enforcement, and that the work of this generation is to end the vestiges of Jim Crow, centuries of trauma and racism. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi praised the verdict.
I spoke to the family to say to them, thank you, God bless you, for your grace and your dignity, for the model that you are, for appealing for justice in the most dignified way.
And she said the name George Floyd would always be synonymous with justice. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that the River Nile flows south to north? You would if you watched the series The Nile, 5,000 Years of History on CuriosityStream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, CuriosityStream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
The Senate could soon take up a bill ending a federal ban on marijuana marijuana.
April 20th has been celebrated by marijuana advocates for decades.
Today is what you might call a very unofficial American holiday, 420.
And it's today Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's appropriate to take a hard look at laws that have over-criminalized marijuana.
I believe the time has come to end the federal prohibition on marijuana in this country.
Schumer says his position has evolved after seeing several states decriminalize and legalize recreational marijuana. The top Senate Democrat now says he's working with colleagues on a proposal that could be ready for Senate action in the near future. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The Republican National Committee is touting record-breaking fundraising numbers.
The RNC says it raised more than $44 million in the first quarter of this year, its best post-presidential election haul in history. Nearly $18 million was raised in March. Filings show the RNC has no debt. In a statement, RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel said, every dollar we raise is a stand against Biden and congressional Democrats' serial record of failure in office. The Democratic National Committee has not yet reported its fundraising figures, as both gear up for the 2022 midterm elections. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Archaeologists in Maryland say they believe they've found the home of Harriet Tubman's father. The home site of Ben Ross was found on land acquired last year by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
College roommates continue their bonding process until real friends are made, and a teacher hopes they never Google him. It's time for the weekly video feature that's heartier and more comforting than a heaping bowl of mom's butternut squash soup. This is the Onion Week in Review. Longtime James F. Blaine Elementary School teacher Suzanne Pomponio told reporters today that she could not believe how much fatter her second graders are getting. Pomponio estimates that each and every one of her kids must be 8 to 10 pounds heavier than anyone in her 2011 class, adding, quote, and those kids were pretty fat too.
Honestly, I didn't think it was possible that this year's kids could be fatter than last year's, but they are. I mean, short kids are fat, tall kids are fat, and there's a smell. I don't really know how to describe it.
Local dad Michael Carrain navigated several discount travel websites today with a precision reminiscent of 18th century Viennese prodigy Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart composing a symphony.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 3 of this Tuesday 420 edition.
Yeah, man.
Of Free Talk Live. We are the radio call-in talk program where you can talk about anything that's on your mind. If you would like to do so, dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you would like to join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Break the Flaw, Joa.
Vincent, Shire Free Media.
Very well. If you haven't visited those guys' places, Joa, your YouTube is Breaking the Flaw, and your website is shirefreemedia.com.
On YouTube, Shire Free Media, and I've discovered this awesome website called Substack where you could write things, and it, basically it's like an email list. So if you could follow me at vincentmoore@substack.com.
Nice. I've read many articles on air that have been published on Substack or via we've found through our feeds with the Substack tag. So yeah, definitely a cool use of social media. We've been talking a bit about the joke coin, the Dogecoin, and how it rallied, and there's even a hashtag for April 20th or 420. Which is known in cannabis culture as a day for smoking marijuana. That day is today, but prices also pulled back on Doge Day. Meanwhile, other cryptocurrencies have been mired in a slump, and I was getting to the point of how I find it funny that some rich folk can make some rumors, some memes, make some jokes about Dogecoin, and we can see a sharp spike in value. But when this, I'm calling it an evil company, Coinbase Global Incorporated, decided to go public in this weird, not usual way of going public. There's some real weird stuff surrounding how they did that and what they did that I also don't like. But nevertheless, it seems that you would think that would be a boon to the cryptocurrency market, but instead, the cryptocurrency market seems to have gone the other way with that announcement of Coinbase Global Inc. Going public. So very interesting stuff. All that being said, and apologies if this particular bit has been covered on Free Talk Live before. This article is dated March 16th. So this was the actual day of the raid here on the Free Talk Live studios, as well as many other locations and the rest of the Crypto 6. This says Bitcoin becomes the best performing asset of the decade, returning 10 times more than NASDAQ 100.
Yeah, I don't believe that was much of a coincidence that all these things are happening and just after the raid. They want to make sure that the activists are not in control with this and that they want to maintain the status quo, go public on the market. And, I feel like Coinbase could easily manipulate or smidgen here and there's and lie about actually having a certain amount of assets that they're claiming to have.
I know that it's still early times for the cryptocurrency. We are still in the infancy, if you will, of the technology. Yes, it's over a decade old, but as far as what it can do, the potential that it has, the things that can be developed upon it and around it, and the whole entire eco-structure that it is going to end up creating is just a tiny little thing in some developer's imagination right now.
And if anything, your local bank or the bank that you have an account with, they're likely already using the blockchain to secure their own numbers. So to think that they wouldn't just switch over to crypto, you're not looking close enough. This is definitely the future. And now you can eliminate the bank. Come on, guys, step up. Let's go.
What I find interesting is the response some of the major banks had. I remember I think it was 2017 when Bitcoin was at its previous all-time high. You had people like JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon say all sorts of terrible things about Bitcoin, how awful it was, then it crashes. And then now, presumably now that they've had time to buy it up on the cheap, now you have JP Morgan investing in Bitcoin. Jamie Dimon loves Bitcoin. And it's like that with the rest of them. So they waited, they poisoned the well, but, bottled it all up afterwards.
Yeah, and that's sort of the activity of what we call whales in the cryptocurrency community. Somebody who has a large amount of any single coin, whatever the brand of the coin is, they can make moves that affect the rest of the market of that specific coin because they have more than 50% or some large percent that allows them to sort of create these giant waves in that particular market. So this article says after its recent surge to 60,000, that's US dollars, Bitcoin has become the best performing asset class of the decade with an annualized return of 230%, data shows. What happened? The data, which was compiled by CEO of Compound Capital Advisors Charlie Bailello, examined the returns of the 17 best performing asset classes since 2011. Bitcoin's cumulative gains since then have exceeded 20 million %.
That's a lot.
Now, I'm no econ major. I've done some reading on like Austrian economics, which to me is just economics, or at least how economics are supposed to be anyway. But, most of the financial advice that you will get from people is something like, hey, if your investment gets you somewhere between 5 and 10%, that's really good. That's just super. You've done really well for yourself if you can, get a return. Gains exceeding 20 million %, apparently, far outpacing the cumulative gains of the NASDAQ 100 and U.S. large caps, which recorded returns of 541 and 282% respectively. So those are still some big gains, but dwarfed by the 20 million % cumulatively of the cryptocurrencies. On an annualized scale, Bitcoin returned 230%, 10 times higher than the NASDAQ 100, which was the second best performing asset class. For the same period, U.S. large caps recorded an annualized return of 14%. High-yield bonds gained 5.4%, while gold returned 1.5%.
Wow. Gold just not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, gold is stable, though.
Yeah.
Or at least as stable as, a rare earth mineral can get. Or, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but, something that comes out the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's been mined for, millennia.
Yeah. Now, why would any of this matter? As more institutional investors have begun to pay attention to Bitcoin as an asset class, there's a market-wide speculation that a Bitcoin ETF may soon be a reality in the U.S. And in fact, there are people and banks working on these ETFs. I'm trying to remember what the acronym for ETF is right now.
It's electronic traded fund.
Electronic.
Well, but I mean, regardless what it's called, wow, I wonder what Satoshi Nakamoto would think that there's an ETF, right, for Bitcoin, right, and the establishment system.
Yeah.
Sort of like against the and also like Bitcoin futures too, which affect the price that you don't hear too many people talk about. Exchange traded fund.
Exchange traded fund. Yes, thank you. So
it's a type of security that tracks an index sector or commodity, but which can be purchased or sold on a stock exchange as the same as a regular stock.
Right. So it's a tool they use to trade in the perceived value of an asset. And I know that the Chicago Mercantile Bank was working on an ETF. I know that there was another bank that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head working on ETFs. One of my favorite Bitcoin authors, Andreas Antonopoulos, was actually hired as a consultant, I think, for the Chicago Merc when they were talking about their ETFs. So, we're still in the infancy, and this thing has outclassed, everything this decade. So I'm no financial advisor, but if you got a little bit of savings, consider putting some into cryptocurrency. That's my personal advice. I'm not a lawyer. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thank you for listening and tuning in tonight. It is Free Talk Live.
Is that where I am?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We're well into the 3rd hour, bro, so perhaps you've been napping.
Happy 420.
Indeed. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Joa.
And Vincent.
And you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and that no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate something called Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can connect with other attendees. You can find the unofficial Telegram chat there or the unofficial forum. Again, links to all of that is found at forkfest.party. Come party with the captain. Are you guys going to be there?
Of course. I'm going to be the whole
Oh, if
time.
there's any room left, yeah.
Come party with us, and we'll see you there. Forkfest.party. All right, we've been talking about this article from Yahoo, Bitcoin becomes the best performing asset of the decade, returning 10 times more than the NASDAQ 100.
It's you gotta laugh at that. I really do.
Well, every time they mention some like big company, like in this, I think they talked about was it Ford and Kraft or something that they peeked over for a minute. Anytime anything is mentioned, we're like, oh, Bitcoin is now, or Satoshi. We did a story the other day. Satoshi Nakamoto is now like one of the top 20 billionaires if he's one guy, right? Just based on the amount of Bitcoin that he holds and the value of that. So anytime anything like that, it just makes me smile because. I mean, this technology, I don't know if all of the listeners out there understand this technology didn't ever ask to exist. It just existed. It was put into play by a pseudonymous person or group of people who call themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. And near as I can tell, they took several different technologies and sort of bolted them together to create what we know as the blockchain or Bitcoin. Bitcoin just happens to be the first killer app on the blockchain, and the blockchain is capable of so much more. Imagine money with features. Imagine the expression of value with features, right? I mean, if you think about the United States physical dollars, right? What's the last time there was a feature upgrade? Oh, they changed the way the print looked and they put a new security stripe in it.
Wait, have you seen the new quarters? I'm
No.
just kidding. Who cares?
Are they the same as
No,
they
just
were?
they always change the image on the quarters, and I don't really care. I'll be like, I'll look at it for a second, and be like, whatever,
right,
it's state currency.
Yeah, but that's not really a feature. That's just changing the artwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But imagine for a minute that I have the title to a vehicle and it's on the blockchain instead of being registered with my local government, right? It's all notarized and everything. It's recognized by everybody that, yep, Captain Kickass, he owns this car. Now, Vincent, you come along and you need a used car, and I agree to sell you the used car. We agree on a price. We exchange that price, and in return, I give you this piece of Bitcoin that's on the blockchain, and now automatically everything just reverts over to you, right? So if I had an app on my phone where I could like open the doors and remote start the engine or whatever, I can't do that anymore. Now you can, right? The blockchain can make all of that happen. It's entirely possible for all that to happen. And the best part about the scenario I just described was there would be no government bureaucracy involved. The bureaucracy portion of the blockchain has yet to be explored, but I believe it is going to be a vacuum cleaner the size of half of the earth, and it is going to eliminate bureaucracy, or at least large chunks of it, in the same way the internet eliminated the newspaper, leaving just these shells of newspapers because, Craigslist came along and did it in a much simpler and better way.
I was thinking the newspaper should hand out copies of ad blocker to try to save themselves a little bit. Just like a little, CD-ROM or something, or USB stick in their newspapers.
So whenever you get
It's our only chance
to a site. So, yeah, at any rate, the technology is in its infancy. It has the potential to do way more things than you can even imagine right now, than I can even imagine right now. And there are a whole lot of people much smarter than I am who are working on it. So stay tuned. I wanted to shift gears to, it looks like we have time. This is from the Mises Wire. Somebody called in, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. I've been on a few days in a row. And they said something along the lines of, well, all of this could have been avoided if they just did what the cops say. Right? I think we were talking about a senile grandma who walked out of like a Walmart without paying for her stuff. They confronted her and she gave the stuff back, and then somebody had called the cops, and the cops, of course, broke her arm and, sprained her wrist and hog-tied her and tossed her into the cop car, kept her away from medical assistance for as much as 5 hours before they finally took her to a hospital to get her medical care. But, somebody called in and alluded to, well, the grandma could have probably avoided that if she'd have just done what the cops say. Well, what's the problem with just do what the cops say and you won't get hurt?
Well, the cops should be like, hey, just admit that you murdered them. Can you do that? Oh, yeah, I was told to do what the cops say. No. You anything you do that incriminates yourself, right?
Well,
It's not what you're supposed to do.
And I mean, imagine hearing about a situation where, if a police handcuff and assault an elderly woman, who really didn't do any crime. It was just a mistake. And then, thinking that the cop, not thinking she's a victim and putting the blame on her. Imagine the victim blaming the grandma.
Right. And this article talks very specifically about this particular grandma and what happened. Her name is Karen Garner. She was 73 years old, an 80-pound woman. They did horrendous things to her. The district attorney refused to press charges since even a DA could see that any group of somewhat rational people, i.e. non-police officers sitting on a jury, was likely to conclude that this woman was of no real threat to anyone. So it's not hard to imagine the predictable reaction to this video from those who reflexively defend police abuse. She should have complied, they'll say. Some might insist that if she had her arm broken and her tiny body thrown to the ground, then she was asking for it because, well, she may have tried to steal the equivalent of $13 from Walmart. Indeed, defenders of police abuse and incompetence often attempt to console themselves with the idea that they would always comply with police orders and therefore would never have to worry about being shot dead, beaten down, or otherwise abused by police. Do you think that's the case? 603-283-6160. When you're approached by police, should you just always comply? More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, this is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Joa.
And Vincent.
We've been talking about just do what you're told. Why some people think you should just comply when cops approach you for whatever reason, for whatever thing. And I mean, I don't agree. I don't think you should comply. In fact, I think you should challenge every interaction that you have with the police, in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just saying, I'm sorry, officer, I don't answer questions. Because to me, you're asserting your rights at that point instead of, complying. Right. And compliance just seems to me like the weak position. That's my rationale behind it.
Well, even if you were innocent, you complying could cause some damage to your own life. That's how it goes.
That's true. And for many people, the reality of compliance isn't nearly as neat, clean, and black and white as defenders of police want to believe. Moreover, many innocent and unarmed victims of police shootings aren't even given a chance to comply. They're just shot dead without any warning.
The kid in Chicago, right? The kid who got shot. He apparently, like, the video shows that he held a gun, but the cop, he stops him and he says, "Put the gun down or put your hands up" or something. And the kid, he throws the gun, right? Mm-hmm. He throws the gun and the cop shoots him anyways.
Right? Yeah. He throws the gun, puts his hands up, and then bang. If you watch the video, that is what appears to happen to me when I watched that particular video.
Yes.
So, speaking of shot for complying, let's review some of the evidence. It's a little hard to comply with police orders when one isn't even given the chance to do so. Some are shot even while in the act of complying. That was certainly the case for Frank Lobato, a bedridden 63-year-old man who was shot to death by police. Police had invaded his house looking for another man who was not in the house. Lobato was suspected of no crime and was sitting in bed watching television. Police entered his room through a window, immediately decided his soda can was a gun, and opened fire. I don't know if you've ever had a family member or a friend who's bedridden, but I mean, they're literally going nowhere. They might make it to the bathroom and that kind of a thing, but outside of that, literally not going to go anywhere.
They don't have a chance. What kind of harm do you think they're going to cause?
Yeah. And then they enter his room through a window. Like, what, they couldn't break down the door or something? Like, I mean, we know they can. Why would they enter his room through a window?
Oh, and even if even if it was a gun, I mean, it wouldn't have been justified to shoot him, because if I see someone, breaking through my window, and usually cops are, the cops who do this are wearing black uniforms, wearing masks, ski masks, I mean, the first instinct is to attack them.
Then there was the case of Margie Carranza and Emma Hernandez. Hernandez, 71, and her daughter Carranza were sitting in their pickup truck in Los Angeles in 2013 during a morning routine of delivering newspapers. So side gig, right? They're delivering early morning newspapers. Suddenly, the police fire more than 100 rounds of ammunition into the pickup truck. The police believe the truck belonged to someone else. Fortunately, the women survived, but they received a paltry $40,000 settlement from LAPD, which continues to insist the police did nothing wrong.
That's it, though. Only 40,000. I would have aimed a little higher.
Well, it's funny
that people just don't know, man.
It's funny it's LAPD too, because if you remember Chris Dorner, when Chris Dorner was on his justice spree, the cops are desperate to not just find him, but to gun him down, right? Like they burned him alive in his cabin, probably because he had dirt on him, and so some people suspect. And they thought they saw him, and it was just a mother and her child in a vehicle, and they just unload hundreds of rounds into
I think
it.
that's the one they're talking about right there.
Oh, whoops.
That may indeed be the exact same one. Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was around the time Chris Dorner was. Okay, it's odd they wouldn't mention Dorner in that.
Yeah, it is kind of odd. More recent is the case of Atlantia Jefferson, a woman shot dead in her living room by a police officer in Fort Worth, Texas in 2019. Jefferson was up late playing video games with her nephew. Police received a call from a neighbor asking the police to make a wellness call to the house because the neighbor was worried that Jefferson's open front door signaled foul play.
This is why you don't call the cops.
When police arrived, one of the officers went around to the back of the house, peered into Jefferson's windows. Upon seeing Jefferson inside, the police officer immediately shot her dead. In 2016, Philando Castile was shot dead by police in suburban Minneapolis. Castile was in legal possession of a concealed weapon and informed the officer of this fact. This is what owners of concealed weapons are advised to do when dealing with police. Castile complied with all police orders, yet was dead within minutes after police opened fire for no clear reason.
That one was tragic. I remember seeing that video, and I could not believe the incompetence. And it just seems like they were aiming to just pull the trigger. They don't care. They don't care about us, guys. They care about promotions. I'm sure this is not they were found guilty, I hope, or is that officer getting charged? What's the deal? Because I never heard anything else after that.
I don't know, but I can tell you on January 18th, 2016, Daniel Shaver was shot to death by police while crawling along the floor as ordered by police. Shaver was sobbing and begging for his life. Police officer Philip Brailsford gunned him down anyway. Shaver had committed no crime. Brailsford was rewarded with a $2,500 a month pension by the police department.
I believe he did quit that department, but he went to another department, and then he actually had another shooting. I don't know if it was justified, but like pretty quick. That most officers don't even discharge their weapons once in their entire career, and this guy is already going from one job to another, shooting.
Yeah.
And this is what cops do. It's like when they got in trouble and they have to quit or forced to resign or whatever from that department, they go to like a few towns over and try again.
Oh, it's the same thing with Catholic priests who molest kids, right? The bishop sends them to just some like a bishopric on another part of the country.
Yeah. These guys. Oh, you don't work for LAPD anymore, but you can go get a sweet cushy job in Kansas somewhere
or San Fran.
Yeah, wherever. The disabled are especially at high risk. Not everybody, of course, possesses full control of his or her faculties and is able to respond in a way that is sufficiently speedy to the liking of police orders. In September 2020, for example, autistic 13-year-old Lyndon Cameron was shot multiple times by police while Cameron walked down a street in Salt Lake City unarmed. In 2013, in Frederick, Maryland, Ethan Saylor, a 26-year-old man with Down syndrome and an IQ that was likely in the 50 to 60 range, was killed by police after Saylor refused to leave a movie theater. Police threw Saylor to the ground and sat on him until he suffocated. In January 2020, 16-year-old Eric Parsa was killed in a similar way by police in Louisiana parking lot. Police shackled Parsa, who had severe autism, put him in a chokehold, and then sat on him for 9 minutes until he died. Any of this sound familiar, anybody?
Yeah, it does. George Floyd, maybe.
Weird. The Chauvin case, where he was just found guilty. You guys act like it's the first time something like this has gone on. It's not. Police will also attack you for not speaking English. And, well, we could talk about police accountability coming up here on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. What are your thoughts on all of this action or inaction by the police?
You file complaints.
More coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
So are you saying that if government ran a dating service,
yes,
that society's problems would be solved?
Yes, actually they would. I know it's hard to believe, but it would.
Yeah, that's real hard to believe. I mean, there are dating services all over the place. Why would a government-run dating service be better?
No, they don't work. They're not Christian. They charge a lot of money.
What makes you think a government-run dating service would be better or Christian?
Yes, it would, because everybody would be in the same computer. Today it would be run by a computer. Everybody's knowledge of their existence and location would be in one place.
Let's say I disagree. What happens to me?
What happens if you disagree? Well, you can disagree, but does that mean you're not going to cooperate with us?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Maybe I'd come over there and beat the hell out of you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Final segment of this Tuesday edition, the 420 edition.
Yeah,
man, of Free Talk Live, man. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass,
Joa,
and Vincent.
And I want to say thank you to Robert Womack 3. That's Robert Womack 3. He is a silver level amplifier of this particular radio program. What is an amplifier, you might ask? And ask you might. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. That means that Robert gives $5 a month to help get this particular radio program that you're listening to right now onto more radio stations. We're on close to 200 stations right now. We could be on 250. We could be on 300 stations. It's all up to you. If you've partaken in the content of Free Talk Live, if you've enjoyed the hosts that we have on, the topics that we discuss, the angle of freedom that we take, and the fact that we have a call-in line where you could talk about anything that's on your mind, please consider becoming an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. And thank you again to Robert Womack 3.
Thank you, guy.
Thank you.
So let's go to your calls and thoughts. We first got Aria calling from New Hampshire. Aria, you wanted to talk about the raid.
Well, to an extent, I wanted to talk about the fact that you've been talking about compliance all night, and
yes.
I'm lucky to be alive, to be totally and completely honest.
I agree.
When they were screaming downstairs, I came running, screaming down my stairs, wearing only a pair of underwear and a blanket, asking them, what the F is going on. And they're standing there, FBI agents with guns pointed at me. They demanded that I put my hands in the air, which was going to cause the blanket that I was wearing to fall and leave me, essentially naked in front of these people. And I refused to do it.
Oh, geez.
There are so many people who would have been killed in that situation, and yet I wasn't. I refused to comply. The one thing they could not make me do, they could not intimidate me into giving up my own dignity. They could shoot me. They could tackle me. They could forcefully remove the blanket if they wanted, but they could not make me do it to myself. And I think that's important.
Good for you.
Yeah, I can't agree anymore. And wow, I am surprised that you're alive based on those facts, because you're right. There would be nearly nobody that I can think of that, the police wouldn't be, itching to get some action on. Oh, they didn't comply. Let's go.
It was very weird because I straight up refused to comply with what they were saying. And I mean, these people had guns pointed at me. So whatever it was in that moment was worth dying for to me. And I finally figured out what that was. And that was that they wanted me to give up my own dignity. And I refused to do that.
And you wouldn't let them take it. And much respect for not giving up your dignity. Indeed.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say
That was
tonight?
all I wanted. No, that was it.
All right. Thanks for the call, Aria. We appreciate it. Is dignity worth dying for? In some cases, I believe it is.
Do you have any honor?
Right. Exactly. That's the question that you have to ask yourself is, do you have honor? Do you have dignity? Self-respect, because when it comes down to it, our favorite caller, Jet, who likes us to not use the word government to describe the entity that because he wants us to remember that they're just people. And they are just people. Now they're people with badges and guns and, military equipment, and they're, barking orders, and they're itching to pull that trigger, but they are people. So, I don't know. That's certainly a personal call, but I certainly respect Arya for her position on it. Let's go to Zephin, who's calling from, is it Colorado?
No, California.
California. I wrote it down wrong. Zephin, you're on Free Talk Live.
All right. So today I wanted to talk about Monero. It actually reached 420 today on 420, which means that it's at a
no way, man,
3-year all-time high, and I think it's got a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely. No way,
and
man.
The reason why coins like Monero are so important is because the rest of mainstream cryptocurrency, I believe, is mostly surveillance coins. They essentially you're able to see every single purchase that's made on the blockchain, and as long as somebody's able to tie that address back to you, they're able to see every single purchase that you've made. Whereas privacy coins are fungible, such as Monero. So essentially, every unit of currency is indistinguishable from the other unit, making it so that essentially nobody knows who owns what, and how much you own of that currency, and
yep. Let me stop you.
Who's interacting with whom?
Let me stop you right there, Zeph, and I just want to explain to our audience, for those, because you've said some words, and those might be some scary words to some people who own some cryptocurrency. Most cryptocurrency is what we would call pseudonymous or pseudonymous. And you are correct in that if they can find a way to tie transactions to like one of your wallets or something like that, then yes, it can be tracked. But you can track that yourself too. And that's one of the pluses of transacting in these cryptocurrencies. Now, Monero and some other coins are being developed specifically to avoid that. These are called privacy coins, and they are being developed and designed so that they're anonymous, not pseudonymous, anonymous. So go ahead, Zephin.
Yeah, I just think that in an era of increasing surveillance, governments are going to want to use any tool that they can get at their disposal. And I love cryptocurrency overall, but I think that the future of cryptocurrency are the private coins. And since Monero has the strongest technology to back it up, and the strongest fundamentals in my view, and it's the most ubiquitous with privacy coins, I think it's got the best shot. But if people wanted to check out the alternatives too, Zcash, Pirate Coin, R, or other ones, I think that those are all very strong options for the future in terms of cryptocurrency. There's still a lot of untapped potential and room, and most of all, I'm just optimistic about the technology. I just really believe in the mission of these privacy coins. Even if they all tanked tomorrow, I'd still love to have means of exchange that's completely private.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere because I equate the blockchain or Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency technology, to music. Music is the expression of emotion. Cryptocurrency is the expression of value. These are just languages. It's just code, right? Music is code. Cryptocurrency is code. It's not going anywhere. I did want to mention that if folks haven't yet been able to donate to the Crypto 6 over at thecrypto6.com, Monero is being accepted. It's one of the cryptocurrencies up there. So I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that.
As someone that's donated Monero to their legal defense fund, it's a very seamless process. It's you just scan it and it works right away. So it's a very quick crypto, and the fees are really low. So you don't have to worry about if you want to exchange your Monero. It's not going to be like $50 or whatever with the regular Bitcoin. It's usually about 3 cents, sometimes even less.
That sounds like a really good coin. If it's quick, low fees. I'm just advertising for you. No, but it's true though. I've loved Monero. I've had Monero for a long time, and I do like how its tech has been ahead of the game and no one's realized it yet.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Zephyr. We appreciate it. Did you have any comments on Monero?
No, mum's the word on Monero.
Mum's the word on Monero for Vincent. Okay. Well,
I didn't say how much I had.
Wink.
Yes, I understand. I think that eventually privacy will be baked into all coins.
Baked?
Yes.
Well, it is 420.
I'm sorry. I had to do one. I had to say it to make one pun. I'm sorry.
Now you're talking my language.
Well, it is 420, man. Baked in, right? No, I like. Okay, so like when cars were first coming off of assembly lines, right? The first car to have a radio, right? That was cool, right? That was a big selling point. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get one of those cars because it has a radio. Well, eventually the same thing's going to happen in cryptocurrencies. Somebody's going to develop a feature, and because it already exists on the blockchain, somebody's going to be able to go find that code and modify it for whatever coin that they're on, and then all abracadabra, alakazam, a la peanut butter sandwiches, you've got all the same features, that the other coins have. It's just a matter of competition. We are out of time. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you've missed any of our program, check out the archives at freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Peace.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.